Events are a foundational functionality in the Windows operating system, and in C# we can code events. And so in this video I want to talk about some of the conceptual aspects of events, kind of let you get that in your brain, and then we'll take a look at some code examples of writing these things up and seeing them happen. Now, events are functionalities that enable a class or an object to notify other classes or objects when something of interest has occurred. Now, events are based on the publisher-subscriber model. Let's look at that kind of in a little animation. The class that sends, or what we call raises, the event is called the publisher. So in this class that is the publisher here, we would have defined our event, and then we would have in code raise that event. We would have called that event based on some condition. The publisher then fires off that event, and a subscriber who has subscribed to that event, and I go back to when we talked about delegates, when we have assigned a method to that particular delegate and that delegate fires, it runs that method. And that is exactly what we're doing here. On the publisher side is where our delegate is. On the subscriber side is the method that has been assigned to that delegate. And so when it raises an event, it fires that delegate. The delegate reaches out and executes whatever method that is over here in the subscriber, and that is how we handle that event. And so the event is really nothing more than a delegate that, when it is raised, fires off and calls the method that has been pointed to or assigned that is part of the subscriber. Now, the publisher determines, first of all, what an event is. It names the event, it creates that event object, and then it determines when the event is raised, and then the subscribers determine what action is taken in response to the event. And in reality, they're simply running a method that is being pointed to by the delegate that is the event. Now, an event can have multiple subscribers. Again, go back to when we talked about delegates. As many subscribers as want to can point their methods or assign their methods to any particular event, which is in reality a delegate. A subscriber can handle multiple events from multiple publishers, and events are typically used to signal user actions like button clicks, menu selections, and graphical user interfaces, and so forth. Now, in the .NET Framework class library, events are based on the event handler delegate. Now, Microsoft really strongly encourages you don't have to, but for the purposes of the exam and for purposes of working in the Microsoft world, and most shops use this, is instead of creating a separate delegate with your own name based on the signature that Microsoft recommends for events, they are suggesting that you use the event handler delegate that's already out there. It already points to the standard signature. And what you're really working here is the observable observer pattern, if you're familiar with that. So anyway, events are based on the event handler delegate, which points to the standard signature that Microsoft suggests for events and event handlers, and the event args base class, and we'll talk about that as we move through some of the examples. So the bottom line is, with events, we're going to use delegates that we create on the publisher side that we can then fire the delegate, and it reaches out to the subscriber side to methods that have subscribed to that delegate, and we have events taking place. Really cool functionality. It's great to use the pre-programmed events, but you can really add a lot of power to your development. You start to create your own and subscribe to your own events out there in your subscriber classes. So we'll take a look at all that as we move through the next couple of events examples in code. So join me there.